But it was like the next day I got a email from Korea, and
Yeah.
it was like, come to Korea. And I was like, this is the wildest thing. Um, and I thought it was like a scam because it was just my Korean, I could barely speak Korean, I could barely read Korean. And it just said like, please send us your passport. I was like, this is definitely like, this is Prince somebody in like whatever country in Wakanda, or like in some Luxembourg, like send me your transcripts or whatever. And but I was so desperate that I was like, all right, I'll send just enough information so they can book me a flight. And if they book me
Yeah.
the flight, I will go. Um, and like within a few days, I got the flight, and I was just like, free flight to see my family in Korea at least. And then I just went.
That's such amazing serendipity. It's
Yeah,
it's kind of beautiful how life works out like that sometimes. And
absolutely. It's,
so that was the start. So then you competed in the show and kind of launched your career.
yeah. So
Well,
I go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna ask, like, what's it like as a Korean American going back and or not back, but going to Korea and navigating the music industry there?
Um, it's a lot. It was a lot. Um, it was really cool because being a singer, it's like one of those things where you're just like, I'm gonna be an astronaut, or I'm gonna be like whatever idealistic thing you have as a kid, you know. I think even as a fifth grader, if you're like, what do you want to be? It's like, I'm gonna be in like on stage singing like the coolest songs ever. But going back to like, we never saw that. Like, we never saw an Asian or Asian American pop star in the States. Like, I don't think we were ever allowed to dream that. The only place I saw it was like on those VHS videos that my parents would rent from the corner store on a Sunday, um, from Korea. And that was like the only place I saw it. So I was like, one day if I go to Korea, I'm gonna try to like, maybe I'll get like cast from on the streets. I'm like, hey, you look like you could sing, and have some random like, you know, divine intervention moment. And so when I got there, it was like the coolest, like most interesting thing because, you know, on these audition programs, you are surrounded by all these hopefuls, and then you see all these like celebrity judges, people that you've like listened to and looked up to your entire life. And I was like, I can't believe I'm singing this person's song in front of him. This is the wildest thing. And so so from like a personal like experiential experience, it was really really cool. I think navigating culturally was like a really really difficult part, um, because my Korean wasn't great, and I barely understood anything when it came to like anything technical, or it was just like, I'm hungry, I'm sleepy, leave me alone please, like those very elementary kind of statements.
Yeah.
But working and living there is just a completely different thing. So I remember being in trouble all the time for things that I didn't realize I was in trouble for. Even just
Like what kind of things?
like even like in Korean culture, like saying hello the proper way is such an important thing. It's about respect. It's about like social hierarchy, but it's not like who's wealthier or whatever. It's just age and who's more experienced. So I would just say hi, but it wouldn't be like a complete 90-degree like bow and like very clearly articulated, because again my pronunciation sucks, and like this person doesn't know who I am, like why would I have to say hello? But it's just like you have to say hello and bow to everybody. I was always in trouble for that. I remember one time we were in like a dance class, and all my members, or everybody there was getting like yelled at. I have no idea why we're in trouble, why anybody's getting yelled at. So I'm just standing there like listening with my arms crossed. And I started getting yelled at because I had my arms crossed. I was like, I don't know like how to stand. Like apparently I can't stand comfortably. So then I put my hands behind my back, and they're like, that's even more disrespectful. I was like, I don't know what you want me to do. Like everything that I'm doing is wrong. Um, so even small things to that. And then like I think from a cultural level, like, oh, also that like when somebody's speaking to you in the States, if you're being spoken to, you look at them in the eyes, right? Like it's a conversation. But in Korea, you look at the ground. I also did not know that. So I'm like, every time I'm in trouble, I'm getting trouble for being in trouble, and then also trouble for not being in trouble properly. It was like the most convoluted, confusing thing. And that's just like one example. But it's I think even just the nuances of expressing ourselves as Americans, like I think on a TV perspective, they wanted me to be like, oh my God, I need this so bad. Without this show, my life falls apart and I'm gonna start crying. And so they were like always trying to like get me to cry or like do something. I was like, I just don't like I have a job, guys. Like this is a hobby for me. And I remember being sat down and yelled at because they're like, you don't want this like anybody else, and everybody else is blah 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 blah. And you're just so rude and disrespectful. I was like, how? Like I literally I can't speak the language. How am I disrespectful when I can't even say anything? Um, and that was just the start of it. And I think just, I've been in Korea for about 10 years now, and just navigating all the small nuances that come with living and working in a different culture has always been difficult. And I've picked it up a lot, and my Korean has become pretty much fluent, and I can do pretty much everything on my own. But even to this day, I think because of those experiences, I find myself second guessing and questioning everything that I do. It's like a survival instinct. Where like, am I gonna get yelled at? I'm definitely gonna be in trouble for this. I'm always like looking behind my back. Um, so I definitely, I still deal with that to this day. But it is what it is.
있어도 그래도 떠날래 그래 떠날게 여기서 나가도 아플 땐 아파도 힘들 수 있어도 그래도 떠날래 이제 떠날게